What's good? Ramon Carter here with Gut Check, and today I want to talk about becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's right, becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. This is like one of the next logical steps. If you been watching, I did a series on supreme thinking or thinking supremely. And once you do that, once you go through those steps, you're going to inevitably be led to begin doing some things, right, that you've never done before. Seeking out some things that you've never sought out before. And it's going to push you down a path that's unfamiliar to you. Uncertainty and discomfort is bred from unfamiliarity and a lack of knowledge, right? And so most people, what they do is once they kind of get outside their comfort zone, once they start trying things and they don't know exactly what direction to go in or what direction they're going to be taken in, they retreat back to the familiar. They retreat back to the comfort. Well, what that does is that puts you right back in the same place you were. You have to do something different. You have to do something that you haven't done before if you want to go somewhere that you've never been. And this whole gut check thing is about living in your authentic identity, discovering your authentic identity. And so that's going to take you face to face with doing things you've never done before. It's a growth process, right? In order to become who you seek to become is a growth process. Well, through that process of growth, you're going to be met with obstacles. You're going to be met with impediments. You're going to be met with new paths and new things you have to do. And the key to not retreating back to the familiarity, not retreating back to comfort and forfeiting the greatness that's on the inside of you is being able to move forward, to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, to be certain and assured about the uncertainty, right? So not that you're going to know every twist or turn down the path, but your assurance is in the fact that you are on a path, that you're on a path that's leading you somewhere that you have not been. This is why I'm such a fan of coaching and mentorship, because oftentimes having a coach or having a mentor, even if it's just a book, it allows you to see some impediments, allows you to see some obstacles, and it allows you some knowledge, right? And that knowledge, right, gives you a little bit more comfort, a little bit more familiarity, even on a path that you're on. There's an episode of Seinfeld. I like Seinfeld, and in that episode, George is doing everything wrong. And so his thought process is that if he does the opposite of his instincts, then his opposite of his instincts have to be right. And so it's a whole bunch of hilarious stuff that goes on. But, long story short, there is some truth in that. Heretofore, you've been doing things a certain way. My mentor always says, let your fruit be your feedback. And what that means is you have to look at the areas in your life that you want change. You have to sit down with your fruit and ask your fruit, hey, listen, what's going on? Are you bountiful? If you're doing good in the area, your fruit will speak to that. If you're doing bad in the area, well, then your fruit will speak to that. And then it's up to you through that introspect to make the changes that's necessary to make. But understand that this process is about growth. This process is about expanding your knowledge. It's about expanding your experiences. It's about expanding the scope of who you are becoming and who you are. And so you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable with uncertainty. You have to be comfortable with the unfamiliar. But you have to be assured in the fact that these things that you're doing that are uncomfortable, these things that are pushing you outside of your comfort zone, these things that are unfamiliar to you, you have to be assured that they're leading you down a path and that path is towards your expected end. Yeah, there's going to be some twists. Yeah, there's going to be some turns. Yeah, there's going to be some blocks and some blockades and some impediments and some things you're going to have to get over. Sometimes you're going to have to double back at a fork in the road when you chose left, right? You have to double back and go right. All that stuff is going to happen, but all that stuff is pushing you and giving you momentum, like I talked about on Friday, towards the destination that you ultimately seek. That destination of living who you were divinely created to be. That destination of finding your garden where your genius is released. Where your genius is released is a place where your value is added to the world, where your value is added to specific communities and places. And then guess what? You're going to start to live that life of abundance. You're going to start to live live that life of peace and joy. You're going to start to live that life of prosperity. You're going to start to live that life that you always dreamed you wanted to live. But it starts with understanding that you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to leave your assurance in the fact that you know where you're going. And even though you don't know every twist and turn of the path, you know that that path is leading you somewhere great. You have to look at life not through a lens of doubt and fear, but look at life through a lens of potential, right, and promise. And that'll always lead you to where you want to go. But listen, as always, I want to thank you for giving me this time and speaking to your life. And as always, I'll leave you with these 3 thoughts. Think abundance, focus on growth, create, never compete. Thanks, and God bless.